Previously on the Odyssey, Odysseus and his men then make it to shore and see the cattle of Helios. His men slaughter the cattle despite being told not to, then this leads to their demise. Odysseus concludes his story of his past that he is telling the Phaeacians. This brings us to Odysseus' return journey. The Odyssey, Part 3. After the Phaeacians take the recently clothed Odysseus back to home in Ithaca, their ship is turned to stone for daring to assist Odysseus. He meets up with the goddess Athena, and she basically tells him, "Hey yo, these dudes are trying to steal your girl. What you gonna do about it? But stay chill, cause she don't want to marry them, and she's been stalling this whole time." She then disguises him as a beggar and tells him to stay with Amius, the swineherd. Then Telemachus returns from his quest to find his father, and is told by Athena to go to Amius' hut, as Amius goes to Penelope to inform her of her son's arrival. Odysseus goes into the yard and she tips her wand and turns him back into his normal self, but with new clothes. And she says, "Sup, dude, want some new threads?" Upon seeing his father in the new clothes Athena gave him, he believes Odysseus is one of the gods who rule the sweep of heaven. "Son, I am no god. I have returned after 20 years and brought home the milk." The father and son hug, and Odysseus tells Telemachus to count the suitors to see if he can find them. Telemachus tells his mother about his journey, but not about his father. Odysseus is then disguised again as he goes back to his house. The only one there who recognized him was his dog, who lifts up his head, wags his tail, and dies. The dog has no true importance, but it's just fun to tell. Telemachus permits Odysseus to ask for food. The suitors give him food except for Antinous, who insults him by calling him a pest and a nosing rat. After this, Odysseus calls Antinous out for eating food that isn't his, but then Antinous tosses a stool at Odysseus, and it hits him in the shoulder. The other suitors got mad at Antinous for his poor manners and behavior, but he just shrugged it off. Penelope then asks the forester to go get Odysseus. After this, another beggar enters the building and starts to bully Odysseus. Antinous arranges a boxing match between the two. Of course, Odysseus wins the match. After this, Telemachus orders the suitors to leave for their disorderly behavior. With this time, they remove all the weapons from the hall. Odysseus then goes to meet his wife for the first time in 20 years. Penelope asks Odysseus about who he is and where he's from. Odysseus replies that he doesn't want to talk about himself. Penelope then tells Odysseus about how she kept on trying to draw the time out by making a big shroud for Laertes, but she resets the loom every night. The night Penelope and Odysseus talk, she cries herself to sleep, dreaming of the husband she believes she has lost forever. The next day, the suitors return, worse than ever. But then Penelope appears with Odysseus' bow and her maids holding 12 axe heads. She says if someone can string the bow and shoot an arrow through the axe heads, then she will marry them. All the suitors try to string the bow, but fail. Then Odysseus walks in and strings the bow with ease. After Odysseus effortlessly strings his bow, he plucks it, and suddenly, the suitors and all their faces change. Throughout this, the suitors were calling him things such as a bow lover, dealer in old bows, may his fortune grow an inch for every inch he bends it. Then, Odysseus fires the bow, the arrow going through each of the notches, clean as a whistle. Odysseus then tells him that he is going to cook their goose, or basically get even. So now, they must prepare for battle.